Next question says, evidence shows that the quantity equation is correct over the long run, which implies that A, the growth rate of the velocity of money causes the level of prices to change. B, growth rate of GDP causes most of the change in the money supply. C, growth rate of the money supply determines the rate of the inflation. Or D, growth rate of inflation leads to growth in GDP. And so this is going to be a question that's testing our knowledge of the quantity theory of money, which broken down into equation form is fairly simple. It's simply mv equals py, where m is equal to the money supply, which is how much money is in the economy. V is equal to the velocity of money, which is what we assume is constant. It is a average number of times that money exchanges hands in circulation in a given year. Like a single dollar bill, for example, how many times does it change hands in a given year? P is equal to the price level in the average price level of the economy, and Y is equal to total output of the economy. And so this quantity theory of money equation, if we assume it to be true in the long run, would hold two things constant and two things variable. First, we would hold velocity of money constant. We assume that over the long run, there's a single steady velocity of money. And second would be output, because in the long run, we would be at potential GDP, so output would be achieving its full potential, so you wouldn't be able to change that. And that leaves our two variables as M, which is the money supply, and P, which is the price level. So let's take a look at these answer choices and see which one of those fits our quantity theory of money equation. A says the growth rate and the velocity of money causes the level of prices to change. And so because we hold the velocity of money constant, the growth rate of the velocity of money is 0, but P is variable, and so those wouldn't be able to be equivalent to each other. B says growth rate of the GDP causes most of the change in the money supply. And so again, because we're holding GDP constant, Y is equal to output or GDP. It has a growth rate of 0, and therefore it cannot equal the growth rate of the change in the money supply, which would be variable. It could be positive or negative. C says the growth rate of the money supply determines the rate of inflation, and this is true, right? Because we have growth rate of the money supply would be variable, and that means if we hold V and Y constant, whatever rate that we change M at, we would have to change P at the same rate. And inflation is changes in price, right? And so increasing price would be increasing inflation. And so C seems to be the best answer right now. And finally, D says growth rate of inflation leads to a growth in GDP, but first, inflation would be variable while GDP is constant, and second, P and Y both appear on the same side of the quantity equation, not on different sides, and so those would be equivalent rates of growth. And so C is going to be our best answer here. Growth rate of the money supply determines the rate of inflation. Okay, let's take a look at the previous tutor's answer. The previous tutor said the quantity theory of money is mainly used to describe the relationship between the money supply and the price level. It states that the money supply and the price level are both directly proportional to each other, which means if the money supply increases, the price level also increases in the same proportion. The quantity theory of money in equation form can be written as MV equals PT. Here, M is the money supply, P is the price level, V is the velocity of money, and volume of the transaction. It also states that in the long run, the growth rate of the money supply is equal to the growth rate of the price, which is inflation. Therefore, option C is the correct answer. So I'm just going to amend that. T is also sometimes written as Y and represents the total output of the economy, i.e. GDP. Okay. Otherwise, that would be, the rest of the answer is correct, and so we'll mark that as correct, and we can move on.